Hey guys, Ed over here at FICM Repair. So you've heard me talk about my excursion quite a bit. Well, that's it. That's my favorite 6.0. Oh my goodness, I love that truck. It's what got FICM Repair started, actually. So this video is in response to his comments. It sounds like we need a video on how you started FICM Repair. Well, like a lot of you, I was a married dude and I was trying to put food on the table for my family. And I worked for an organization called the Multi-State Lottery. And the Multi-State Lottery, people that like this call us muscle, people that don't like this call us mucilix, whatever. But I wrote the security standards for the Powerball lottery game nationally, and also for the Mega Millions lottery game. And I was in charge of overseeing the operational security of those games and providing consultation to all of the lottery directors nationally. In fact, if you hop on YouTube and do a search on the word jackpot, you'll see a pretty interesting documentary on a fellow that used to work for me who thought it was a great idea to commit fraud to the tune of $16 million. So it's interesting. But at any rate, so I was the only one in the nation who was doing this job. There was nobody else. And I'd go around and I would talk to these lotteries and see how they were doing their business and whatnot. But all of that's a sidebar. I would tell you that opportunity is everywhere. And so what happened was, I got this truck so I could take my wife and 3 kids on camping trips and whatnot and be safe in the process and etc. And I've been a car guy all my life, and of course, who doesn't like power? And so here we are, a diesel, right? And my first diesel was this truck right here. And I learned a lot. I already knew a lot about vehicles just anyway, but I learned a lot owning this truck. In fact, when I picked this puppy up, one of the first maiden one of the maiden voyages was heading down south to go get a camper, and in the middle of the night we're because it was a long drive to like Alabama or something, and we took our new to us excursion on this trip to go pick up this camper, and we had no idea that electronic shift on the fly meant that your hubs need to be rebuilt every once in a while. I just bought the truck, so I put it in 4-wheel drive. I saw the little 4x4 deal on the dash and thought for sure I was in 4x4. But at any rate, we had black ice on that trip, and I flipped it over to 4x4 and fishtailing, and ended up in the ditch. And come to find out later, I was never in 4-wheel drive because my hubs were leaking. Oh my goodness! So if you have electronic shift on the fly, rebuild your hubs. You got a kit. Just do a search on ESOF and off to the races. But at any rate, my truck was getting harder and harder and harder to start. And what happened was I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on? So I did some research and I found out that my FICM wasn't doing very well. And so I called up the local Ford dealership and I said, hey, my truck's shot, and it doesn't start and stay running. It starts and dies, starts and dies, starts and dies, as a lot of these things have a tendency to do. And they said, yeah, we can take care of you. And I said, well, what does that look like? They said, well, your truck doesn't run, so step 1, get it over here on a hook, and we'll take good care of you. And I said, well, what does that mean? They said, well, that means you drop off the truck, and when you get done with it, it'll run again when we get done with it. And I said, well, yeah, but how much money are we talking? And they said, well, $1,200. I'm like, that's a lot. This is like 15 years ago, right? And so I was like, well, what are you going to do exactly? They said, well, we're going to fix it. What do you mean? I said, no. What are you going to do to fix it? They said, well, we're going to fix it. We're going to diagnose your truck. I said, I've already diagnosed it. It's the FICM. They said, no. We don't work that way. We're going to diagnose it. I said, but you're going to charge me for that. They said, we totally are. And I was like, oh my goodness. I said, and then what are you going to do? They said, I said, presuming it's the FICM. They said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and fix it. I said, well, are you going to fix it or are you just going to replace it? They said, well, we're going to replace it. I said, oh. So all you're going to do is you're going to take out the old part, put a new part in, and call it a day. They said, well, no, it's not quite that easy. We're going to go ahead and do that, sure, but we're going to go ahead and we are going to reprogram it to work with your truck, and that's the reason why you can't do this yourself. I said, well, that's what I need to know. Thanks very much. I said, well, do you want to set an appointment? I said, no, I'm good here. And I've always been a tinkerer, right? It's like, I can fix it, And so I said, well, they're going to change that anyway. What's the worst thing that can happen? And so I took my FICM apart, and and I found out what was wrong with it, and I put it back together again, and it worked. And I was like, oh, praise God, thank Jesus, all the things, right? Reason 10,023 to know that God loves you must be happy. And then I was a member of a website called Ford-Trucks.com, officially known as Ford Truck Enthusiast, FTE, don't you know? And I said, hey guys, if if ever you are thinking, if you have a FICM problem, your only option is in Ford. Like, y'all can fix this. Or some derivation of that. I slept since then. But literally like a day later, somebody said, they sent me a private message, hey, could you fix mine? I'm like, sure, ship it over. And then, the next day, hey, could you fix mine? Sure, ship it over. And the third day, hey, could you ship it over? Could you fix mine? I'm like, sure, $100. One thing led to another. And now we've repaired, I don't even know, 70-ish thousand FICMs. Oh my goodness, right? And so opportunity is everywhere, as Abraham Lincoln said. It's just disguised by hard work. And so for quite a bit of time, I was going to work, doing my multi-state lottery association job as their chief security officer and their chief information officer. And I could have both roles because we didn't have production data. There was no conflict of interest there. I also was able to design the hosting infrastructure for Powerball.com. So I'm the reason when the jackpot's $15 bajillion that the website doesn't crash. That's my design. I'm pleased by that. It's fun. They originally had the whole website on a T1. Oh my goodness, 1.544 megabits per second. My goodness, that could no. One of my interview questions, because they interviewed me for a security manager job originally, and it became clear that they needed an IT guy. But in the conversations, like, hey, do you know how to multiplex? Do you know how to set up 2 T1s? I'm like, yeah, but that's not really what you want to do. So at any rate, so now, Powerball.com's done more traffic than Yahoo Taiwan on occasion, right? Holy buckets. Just so many people hitting the enter button at 9:59 p.m. on a Wednesday or Saturday night to see if their life is about ready to change. Where else can you spend that little money and have that large of a dream? That's what they sell us on anyway, right? So somebody's got to win. I'm not a gambler. I don't play one on TV. I will tell you that the odds of winning the lottery are about 50%, and the odds in Vegas are like over 90%. So you're better off in Vegas. But look, think about those fancy buildings. They didn't build themselves. So really, gambling at all, it's fun if it's fun for you, but it's a sucker's bet, right? Those fancy buildings, those flashing lights, that's built on the backs of a whole lot of people who didn't win. But the dream, I feel it. But what I would tell you is that I grew up, delivering newspapers, walking the neighbor's dog, right? And these are the kind of people, that really appreciate, I would say, what it takes to win, what it takes you get out there and get it done. And so whatever you do, right, recognize that there's opportunity to do more. And if you want that opportunity, it's there for your grabbing. You can do this. I know you can. And, and it's just like, why not? Like another of my businesses is a flight school, right? And here that website is, verticalvisionflight.com. We teach people how to fly airplanes. And if you're a 20-something and you're wondering about a career move, tell you what, starting salary is 6 figures, right? And after a year, you're eligible to be a captain. And after 3 years, the average captain's making like $380,000 or some such. AirlinePilotCentral.com if you want to check out the stats on that. That's not my website. I'm not affiliated or whatever. It's just a place to go to get information. But the verticalvisionflight.com, that's us in Des Moines, Iowa. So if you're looking for a place to train, we got you. Brand new airplanes, dedicated hangar in Des Moines, Iowa, all the everythings. But recognize that opportunity, and that's a whole different conversation. Hey, how do you get in aviation? It's only been like 3 years. But opportunity is everywhere. It's just hidden by hard work. And it's been a tremendous amount of work to get the flight school going. It's been a tremendous amount of work to get FICM going. But what I would tell you is that, it's fun helping people. It really is. And if you give back, if you give to them, they'll give back to you. And they'll give back to you in freaking spades. Just do the right thing. It's not that hard, right? Do the right thing when no one's looking. That's called integrity. It's not that hard. And take care of people and love on people and treat them the way that you would want to be treated. The golden rule is not he who has the gold rules, right? It's do unto others as you would have done to you. So just be a good human. Know that opportunity is everywhere. If you're watching this video, you're like, man, how do I get started? There's so many questions. I'm very happy that I've been a nudge for several people to get into business. And, it's like, if you've got questions, I'm happy to help you. Truly, I am. Drop me a PM, private note, and we'll hook you up. All right? FICMRepair.com. We're all in this together. Thanks for listening.